My name's Alan Beechey. I manage the Chilterns Chalk Stream project. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and listening. It's my task really to tell you what happens next, because we're only just really getting started. So we've got a lot more that we'd like to achieve in this catchment. So what have we achieved? I think you've heard a lot of this, so I'm not going to stress it in lots of detail. But I think hopefully you've got an appreciation for the fact that we've made citizen science. We've put it at the heart of the Smarter Water Catchment and the initiative. So we've utilised citizen science to learn a lot about the catchment. We've learnt more things about the catchment than we even thought we would find out. And we've involved citizen science and citizen scientists in the process of decision making, identifying the issues, quantifying them, but also helping us to direct practical action. So I've given an example of SUDS, so the sediment apportionment work that's been going on with citizen scientists taking lots of samples. We understand a lot more about where the sediment comes from in the town that goes into the river, where the urban sources are, where the agricultural sources are, which has enabled us to identify SUDS options to address those impacts. And we've also involved them in shaping our management techniques, and understanding the impact of management interventions. So river restoration is the obvious one. We do have citizen scientists out there monitoring the success or otherwise of our restoration projects. But it's the information that we've got from this whole process has helped us perhaps shape our management techniques. So an example would be all the temperature data that we've got through the SON network. We've understood that there's a really significant temperature issue for the river. In the middle to lower reaches, daytime temperatures in the summer regularly in excess of 21 degrees. And that's not very good for a salmonid river and salmonids by and large. So it's making us think about, well, maybe we should be looking to increase the amount of shade that we have in some of these critical areas to try to help address that issue. So it's been really key to sort of changing our thinking and evolve our thinking. And of course, you won't be surprised to know that the Chess is the most monitored chalk stream in the Chilterns at this current time. We have over 140 citizen scientists regularly engaged in the catchment, and together to about March this year, well over 2,000 hours. And that's just from the initiatives that have been set up effectively supported by the Smarter Water Catchment Initiative. If you add the citizen scientist effort that's going on beforehand and alongside, so Riverfly would be a particular example, you can double that easily. And of course, we're now in September, so we've had a lot more effort since. So it's been a really significant investment into this whole process. They've helped us with all these different things: water quality, sediment, habitat assessments, flow monitoring, nitrate, phosphate sourcing, project monitoring, biodiversity monitoring in the wider catchment, tracking the impact, looking at the biodiversity of the wider catchment. It's all been incredibly useful. I knew that would happen. Anyway, go backwards. I can't remember what was on that slide, so we'll skip it then. So some of the things that we've been, in fact, it'd be really good if I could, but don't worry. Some of the things that we've got it? It doesn't let you? Oh, okay. Well, some of the things we're really proud about is obviously the SON data that's been made public. Go and have a look at it. Yes, it's a rabbit hole that you can disappear down for hours looking at all of this data. You can cut it and slice it to the time periods that you want to look at the different parameters that you want of interest, get a really good idea what's going on in the river, and it's pretty much real time as well. So we're able to provide some of that information to water companies, so we've been able to, and the Environment Agency, and work collaboratively, have an informed dialogue with them about issues. This has been fantastic also, being able to identify at an early stage water quality issues. I think we're going to see the SciWen film shortly, which explains an example of that, so I won't explain that any further. Press it really quick and it won't do it. So we've provided opportunities as well for volunteers to build their skill set. You've heard a lot about that, but that arc of sort of the gateway drug, very often I've used Riverfly in the past, That's the citizen scientist gateway drug for me. Everyone loves to look in a white tray at all these wriggling insects, and it starts the brain going, gets you out on the river, and then the next thing you're starting to think, well, what else is going on here? What else can I be monitoring? What else can I be contributing to? And it enables you to go through as a volunteer and become more and more experienced. Of course, the investment has been key to helping us, because we've been able to tool up our volunteer groups as well, provide them with equipment and, of course, technical support. And we've been able to, after all, the Chess Smarter Water Catchment is a pilot initiative. So it's all about trialling things. We don't get everything right, but we've been able to share our learning more widely. Partly, that's what today is all about. We've been able to input into other initiatives, both locally through river catchment partnerships and more widely with Casco and other initiatives. Key to it all, and you've seen this picture before, but I thought it was very good. It shows the enthusiasm of that a coordinator needs in dire weather conditions. A coordinator is absolutely key. You can see all this extra work is not possible, and this continued engagement and motivation is not possible without somebody at the helm driving it forward. So for many years, the Chilterns Chalk Stream project was a one-person band until 2018, and we were involved in citizen science right from the very start. Water vole monitoring started in 2001, and our riverfly work started in 2010, but it was always very, very difficult to provide feedback because you're racing all over the place trying to do everything and be everything to everybody. You need somebody to be able to pick up the reins and to drive it forward and be able to devote time to it. And that's what the Smarter Water Catchment has enabled us to do. It's enabled the Chalk Streams project to have a citizen science coordinator as well, because Hannah's part of the team. Hannah, for 1 day a week, or 20% of her time, she's working on wider Chalk Streams work for us, paid for by the Chalk Streams project. So it's enabled us to be able to begin to sort of build that resource within the wider Chalk Streams project, and has clearly made the case that we need a coordinator going forward as a permanent part of our team. They're able to do all this work, coordinate all this multi-stranded program, provide that engagement, train, motivate and retain, etc. And another part is to report back on our achievements, on our delivery through the Smarter Water Catchment reporting process, which is quite a detailed process that happens kind of February, March each year. We need to be able to show what we've been delivering and that we've delivered on the milestones that we set out to deliver at the start of the year, and of course then disseminate results locally and nationally. As I mentioned, it's only possible through funding. That's the thing. A lot of people scratching your heads thinking, well, how do I, if you're starting a new group, how do I get this? How do we get this in our catchment? Yes, funding is key. And the funding for the Smarter Water Catchment, you know where it's come from. Getting it into the Chess catchment is you take the story back. I've been boring somebody here already from the Cam catchment about how it all started. It goes way back. It goes a long way back. You could argue back to 1997 with the formation of the Chalk Streams project, certainly from the start of the River Chess Association in 2009. There was a lot of groundwork, a lot of lobbying, a lot of work on the ground just to really push forward. And I think we got a little bit fortunate in a way that certain key people in the catchment, I'll point out Paul if he's here, Paul Jennings, who's the chair of the River Chess Association, doing a lot of lobbying work, lobbying Thames, lobbying Affinity Water, lobbying politicians about the state of the river and the condition of the river, water quality and abstraction issues. And I think that brought the chess to people's minds at the right point, certainly to Thames Water's consciousness at the right point, and I think that's what's helped us here. But that's just the chess. We need to be able to provide funding for other groups throughout the country to help drive forward action on their own river, and it's key. It helps us obviously with the coordinated post, providing that investment into building and supporting these citizen science schemes. Through this process, it's a 10-year process, the Smarter Water Catchment pilot initiative. We're halfway through. So we've got funding here in place until the end of March. But as I say, we're only halfway through. More on that a little bit later. the real risk of losing momentum with sort of short-term funding. I would regard this as quite long-term compared to what I've been used to. The Chalk Streams project, I think I came in on an 18-month temporary contract. I'm still here nearly 20 years later. Inertia is a wonderful thing, but no, it's more seriously, it was always hand to mouth. It's only in 2020 that we got a 5-year deal with some of our funders. It's enabled us to be ambitious, to stop looking over the next hill where the next pound coin is coming, or putting your hand down the sofa for the next bit of silver paper and a button in the hope that it might pay the electricity meter for a little bit longer. You need that sort of investment over a time period. Otherwise, you risk loss of momentum, staff and skills. So what's next for the chest then? As I say, we're only halfway through, so we've got lots more we need to do. The Smart Water Catchment, a lot of the first 5 years has been about investigation. It's about establishing a baseline, trying to understand the catchment a little bit more. And we want to go ahead. We want to go ahead and start delivering more on the ground. So the emphasis of the programme will change, and so but we still want to have citizen science as a part of the programme. So along with the emphasis of the programme changing towards practical delivery, so our monitoring and some of our citizen science programmes are going to adapt as well. Some things we might not need to do anymore, where perhaps we've identified and we've quantified the problem. The sediment apportionment work is a good example of that. Smart Rivers is another. But other monitoring is going to continue. There is a bedrock of baseline monitoring that will carry on, because we need to understand, obviously, whether our practical interventions are doing the right thing, the thing that we set out for them. Are they making a difference? We might look at our citizen science, our water quality monitoring network. We may well move to fewer sondes in the river. We have a better knowledge now that, sort of understanding of temperature and dissolved oxygen is really key, really important to the community. It's really important for our understanding of the river and what happens, what the impact of discharges are, other things besides those environmental factors, climate change, about the temperature further down the river. So we may choose to reduce the number of sondes. I think you can tell from today there's a lot of time and effort and resource required to keep those that sonde network in good nick. It costs quite a bit of money. So we may well look to change that, maybe fewer sondes, but maybe trial different methods using perhaps, for example, mini dot loggers. We want to keep the portal, we want to keep the dashboard going. The portal is fantastic, it's absolutely fantastic. Do have a look if you get an opportunity, or ask Hannah how it all functions. That ability to understand what the monitoring effort is really key. It sounds boring, but we need that to monetize basically that effort, to demonstrate to partners and to others that the level of investment that's going in, because sometimes volunteer effort and citizen science volunteer effort can be taken for granted. There's a danger that it becomes, well, that always happens, they always do that, they can do this next bit. We have to make sure that the partners that we work with and our funders potentially understand the amount of effort. So we're using the experience from the Chess. We're going to using it to develop a wider strategy for the Chilterns, because there are other rivers out there that we would like to be monitoring more. And we're currently progressing funding opportunities to help facilitate that. We're also conscious of the fact that our citizen science work and the work in the Chess has also attracted in a lot of interest and potential investment. And the one I'd point out is the Floods and Droughts Research Infrastructure Project. The Chess is going to be one of the rivers that gets some floods and drought research infrastructure in it to monitor it in the long term, to inform part of a nationwide program, research program. As I say, only halfway through, we've got a long way to go. I think probably this is where I'll bring Helena in, perhaps, to just give you a little bit more in the last two slides of where we're going next.
Thanks, Alan. I'll keep this going so we can, for those that are joining us online. So yeah, thanks, Alan, for giving a bit of an overview to date. Hopefully you can all see, well, certainly from my perspective and our perspective at Thames, that it's been incredibly successful in the first 5 years. So that was kind of what our funding allocation from Ofwat, as we kind of do it in 5-year chunks, and that reporting back each kind of the end of each financial year is really, really important to build this kind of evidence baseline of what success looks like for a kind of collaborative project. So we are kind of committed to this 10-year programme, and as Alan said, we're only halfway through. The chess is also one of our flagship talkstream projects that we put forward to DEFRA, along with other water companies across the country. So that will see a kind of additional 5 years onto this project here in the chess, taking us up to 2035. So really kind of committed to continuing that good work and focusing more on the action side of things. In terms of kind of the detail around funding, so the chess, we've got kind of 27 catchment partnerships in the Thames region and hundreds of water bodies, of which the chess is one of those. So we kind of enter into a price review period each 5 years to kind of confirm future funding. So whilst we are kind of committed to that longer term programme, we are dependent on the kind of final settlement that we end up getting, or of what kind of offer us. So not going to kind of bore you all with the price review process, but it is very much locked up in that kind of back and forth that we do go with that arm of the government. So just kind of wanting to say, we are absolutely committed to the work here on the chess, and as soon as I have information about that funding and that money, I will be able to kind of communicate that all to you through probably through the coordinators and Alan and co. But hopefully much more exciting things to come. So thanks all.